Welcome back, friends. You're just in time for the Johnny Brew Show.
What's going on, everybody? My name is John Brookhagen, host of the Johnny Brew Show, and I'm super duper happy to be here with you. We've got a ton of stuff to talk about. I don't want to waste too much time, but I do have to tell you this is brought to you by Infinity, the Math Institute, where you don't get more math problems, you get solutions. It doesn't matter if your child is struggling in math, they can get that help, or if your child is doing great in math, they can also, if you had a child who was a great basketball player, would you say, all right, he's good? No, you would get him a coach and try to refine his talent and understand you're not only in competition with the other kids in your school, you're in competition with the whole world. Well, Infinity the Math Institute can help coach your gifted child to reach their potential, or your struggling child to truly understand, not just pass, but truly understand math that'll set them up for future success. 702-768-1777 or visit them at themathinstitute.com. So, before we get into the nuts and bolts, I know some of you guys were expecting to see Michael B. Jack this week. No worries, he's okay, and he's still in my good graces. He had to run back up to Reno, and he will be coming back to Vegas, and we will be rescheduling that interview. And speaking of interviews, we've got a lineup of people that are going to be coming into the Johnny Brew Show. First of all, Thomas Heck has just confirmed he'll be here in 2 weeks. He is going to be a Republican candidate for governor of Nevada. Chris Dyer, the host of the PAA podcast, The Juggalo Patriot, he's going to be here next week as we preview the upcoming CCRP vote between 4 different people. Eddie Hamilton has thrown his name in the ring. Crete is in it. Carrie Ann Buck and Jesse Law, I believe, in my ignorant opinion, are the 2 front runners, with Carrie Ann Buck being the front runner, Jesse Law being the challenger. And Joey Gilbert, I spoke with his people, and he's super excited to come meet you all. He'll be on the Johnny Brew Show sometime within the next month or so. I made a new friend recently. His name is Sean Meehan. What a patriot. He turned me on to some awesome resources to learn more about our founding fathers. And, looking at his resume, I was thinking about having him on. He says he might have an announcement in the next week or 2. So what better time to have him on? Nothing's in concrete, but he said he'd love to be on. The people that I'm still hoping to have on, but have not necessarily gotten the green light. Sam Brown, we're going to be talking about him in this segment. I'm very excited. He'll be running for Senate under the Republican ticket. Michael McDonald, Jesse Law. I hope you guys are still considering coming on the Johnny Brew Show. All right, enough with all the... Oh, yeah, one more thing. You have to hit subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. That's the one and only thing I'm asking you to do. If you're listening to this and you like podcasts, please subscribe to the podcast. Leave us a 5-star rating. Anything you could do to support the Johnny Brew Show, tell a friend. We're not asking for money. We're not doing commercials. I'm here because I love breaking things down in a logical sense. To begin the show, I'd like to start off with our national anthem. This is a World War II veteran. I think he's 97 or 98 years old. And a World War II veteran is going to play the national anthem on his harmonica for you. Play tape. Yeah. Guys, I think he's 98 years old. He's a World War II veteran. That was the early 1940s. You guys ever see Band of Brothers, Saving Private Ryan? We saved the world from real tyrannical fascism, racism, religious apartheid, that whole generation. I don't even care if you didn't go to World War II. The women were home building bombs and airplanes and aircraft carriers. The boys, 18, 16, 20, 22, were getting their ass kicked. They were dying all over the place. These guys became brothers. That old man, everybody he was there with, died protecting everything we hold dear. From freedom to brotherhood to the melting pot that is the world, much less America. How can those girls turn their back on the flag and on that man? They don't have a flippin' clue what that national anthem and what that flag means. I told you last week, no matter how much you try to make it a bad thing, the national anthem is not a racist, slave-pushing, white supremacist song. How could they be on the United States soccer team? If I used to coach basketball. If any of my kids, whatever about the flag and your politics, and if any of my student athletes ever treated that guy the way those girls just treated that guy, the disrespect, it's really, really hurt. I mean, it hurts me. I mean, what if you were that kid's grandson or child? I'm sorry. I know. I'm just so overwhelmed with the disrespect. And I'm telling you right, if you send those girls to represent our country in the Olympics, I'm not watching the women's soccer. All right? I'm not, if that stupid idiot is throwing the hammer throw, I'm not watching. But I'll still, oh my God, I'll support with all my heart those other two girls who came in first and second. This country needs to love each other. Love ourselves. Let me show you what the national anthem should look like before a sporting event. Play tape. That was another veteran, young black lady singing the national anthem. 19,000 people singing along. Every athlete looking at the flag. Even the ones from Canada. This happened in the same week. Why is some Montreal Canadian, probably born in Russia or Sweden, showing more respect than 20-year-old athletes going to Tokyo for the Olympics representing our country? How could they find that acceptable? How could their parents not beat the crap out of them? How can this be happening in this country in the same? I mean, I don't know I don't understand. How does that not stir up emotion? Why wouldn't you want to be part of a country that sings the national anthem the way they did at that hockey game? Passing along that American flag. Those dirtbags would have probably grabbed the flag and thrown it on the ground if they had to pass it along. Don't you want to be a part of this? Don't you want to be a part of the country that created so much prosperity for everybody? I don't care if you're Muslim, gay, a woman, black, brown, purple, white. We are the land of opportunity, the land of equal opportunity and equal justice under the law. Not social justice or racial justice or equity or equality of outcome. We're all given a silver spoon. People, homeless people living in San Francisco have it better than 90% of the people did just 100 years ago in the whole world. The worst of the worst, the most downtrodden of our population have it better than most people dreamed of. And anybody, I don't care if you're low class, lower middle class, middle class. Guys, we got the world at our fingertips. We live in the greatest country to make yourself anything you want. Right before, while we're setting up production, I'm looking at a little video of a picture of Tom McDonald. I don't know if you know who he is. He's some rapper. Him and his wife make and produce all their songs. And he showed a picture of himself 6 years ago, living in a crap-ass, cockroach-infested place, sleeping on a couch that he found in a back alley with the $20 keyboard and a refurbished cell phone, trying to write music and make beats. He's not signed. His politics make him not signed. He's not, promoted by any of the promoters. But him and his girl just created a product that people like, and now he's a millionaire and he's #1 on the Billboard charts. That's for anybody. Anybody. I don't care if you're Barack Obama or Barry, whatever his name was when he was a young kid growing up in the streets of Chicago, becoming smoking weed and hanging out, going to concerts and protests and stuff when he was 19 years old. He became president like 25 years later. He was smoking weed on a couch, talking about the next protest he was going to go to. Going to college, hanging out with his friends, getting messed up. Not privileged, not anything. I mean, he must have been somewhat privileged. He was going to college, but he wasn't anybody special, and he rose to become president of the United States. Everybody's got a chance to do whatever you want. And you know what? You might work really hard and fail. That's part of the deal you get in America. Nobody's going to oppress you, especially due to the color of your skin. But yet, we have these people hating our country. Preparing for this segment, I mean, the only reason I'm not crying is because I got it all out. In preparing for this segment, I broke down a couple of times. I mean, not broke down crying, but literally had tears. All right? This is a gentleman right here from Nevada. I don't know if he's from Nevada, but he lives in Nevada now. Yes, Juggalo, Nevada. And he served our country, just like that World War II vet, just like the kids in World War I, World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War. I could go on and on. You all know our history. Sure, we've been involved in some things we shouldn't have been involved in, but World War I, World War II, come on. The Korean War, we saved that peninsula from being entirely North Korea. And all those people are so thankful. Well, we have an Army veteran who went over to fight the war on terror. And this dude, I don't know if you'll see it, good looking kid. I mean, better looking than me, if you could believe it. I mean, just a beautiful young kid over there serving our country. And he got his face blown off with an IED over there, making sure that the fight never came back to our piece of property. No, after that 9/11 tragedy, he went to take the war to them so they couldn't attack us on our soil. And what did he get for it? His beautiful, good-looking kid got his face blown off. And now he's here seeing what's going on. Just like Tony Lane a couple of weeks ago. He was sitting right here next to me. Like me, doing my thing and saying, I can't take anymore. So I started this podcast to start begging you guys to come together. This guy decides not only did he sacrifice his beautiful face for you, but the country's falling apart and something needs to be done. So what does he do? He steps up and he says, I'm going to run for Senate in the state of Nevada. He wants to get his face. It might not be the face I was telling you about when he was 18, pretty boy. But I think his face is so beautiful. But Twitter doesn't. The guy put up a photo of him saluting the American flag. The flag that he lost his face defending. And he says, freedom isn't free. And he's showing you it cost him his face. And Twitter found that offensive. They put a big block on the thing talking about offensive content. A soldier, a beautiful young man who got his face blown off is offensive to Twitter. And that's everything you need to know. Here he is telling his story. Please play tape.
Let's welcome to the show retired Army Captain. He is Sam Brown. Great to see you, Captain. Okay, people are really outraged about what happened to you. Can you explain why did Twitter put a warning label on your 4th of July tweet? It's a photo of you offering a salute in uniform. Can you break down what happened?
Yeah, Elizabeth, I really appreciate you giving me time to just spend with you and your audience and talk about this important issue. As you know, I am a veteran who served in Afghanistan. I proudly served this country, and I was wounded and happened to have been rather scarred by the wounds. And so I thought it was rather appropriate on the 4th of July for us to just reflect back on the fact that freedom isn't free. And so I have a photo of me after I was wounded in uniform saluting the flag. I posted that and just simply stated that America is still the best nation in this world. That's something I believe in my core. And what happened next was really fascinating. First of all, the tweet went viral. For approximately 3 days, there was over 2.5 million views on that tweet. And then what happened after that was rather shocking. I don't really understand Twitter's motivation, but they decided to put a sensitivity cover on that photo of me saluting the flag. And it could be that they thought that my scars were somewhat offensive and needed to be sheltered from people. It could also be that they found the fact that a soldier is saluting the flag to be offensive. Or worse yet, this censorship came literally hours after I filed to be the Republican candidate in the U.S. Senate race here in Nevada. So the worst case scenario is they're censoring conservatives literally on the same day President Trump had his press conference. Now look, we know that Twitter is not afraid to censor conservatives. They took down President Trump while he was still sitting in the White House. They've already begun censoring me on my 3rd tweet on the day that I announced my candidacy. And frankly, they're censoring Americans all over this country. And look, this is getting to the point of why I'm running. The political class, the political elites in this country have betrayed the American people. They've abandoned our values. And I'm running to represent the values of real Americans, those of us who have just been left behind and had to have the policies and the regulations forced down our throats. This leads me to the conclusion. Yep.
Yeah, go ahead. Finish your thought.
Oh, I was just going to say, if Twitter can do this to President Trump, if they've already done it to me as a brand new U.S. Senate candidate, they can do it to, they can fully remove me from this platform. And so I would just ask you and your audience to join people like me. Go to my website, CaptainSamBrown.com. We can stay connected there because there's no promise that I'll still be on the platform tomorrow.
Captain Sam Brown, I already sent you an email this morning. I hope you'll join me. This is a beautiful clip, and in most cases I would cut them. I would end it there, but I want to give you the respect of playing the whole thing. And I want you to sit down here for at least an hour and tell us your story. Because, you are everything that I love about this country. You gave everything, and you're still such a good attitude, such a positive force in this world. And I just want to say thank you. Regardless of what happens in your Senate campaign, whatever. Just thank you. Let's hear the rest of what he has to say.
Okay, you're a Purple Heart recipient. You sustained injuries from an IED explosion during your deployment to Afghanistan in 2008. Your colleagues there were under attack. So you've served our country and you've sacrificed for our country. Can you respond to this? There's a Black Lives Matter chapter in Utah that is saying that basically the American flag is a symbol of hatred and that people who hold up the flag are racist. What do you say to that?
You know, this is just, it's tragic. This is the type of divisive language that Americans are tired of. It's being parroted by fringe groups. And I heard one of your guests earlier, he said that frankly, we need to be able to hear these things so that the American people can discern what is right and wrong. But the fact of the matter is, Americans of all races and nationalities have fought on behalf of that flag. It is a unifying symbol, and I believe it is offensive to those who've sacrificed for their freedoms that they would say such a thing.
All right, Captain, it's great to have you on. We want to talk to you some more
And Sam Brown brings me to another point. He talks about freedom of speech. And while they're silencing him, he talks about like Black Lives Matter Utah, saying that the American flag is a sign that you're racist. That the fact that I have an American flag in my business and outside my house is a sign that I'm a racist. And Sam Brown doesn't say we have to shut these people up. He says it's important to be able to hear from these people so we can have the public discourse and people could decide if they want to be a progressive Democrat that supports Black Lives Matter and says that the American flag is racist, or if you want to be a conservative and a Republican that loves the flag and wants to unite. Do you want to be with the soccer players that turn their back on a 98-year-old World War II veteran and disrespect the flag and that man who served his country? Or do you want to be a fan at the hockey game handing off the American flag to the fan next to you as you sing along in pride? Do you want to be Twitter calling this man's injuries offensive or him saluting the flag offensive? I don't know which one they found offensive or both. Or do you want to be this man who loses his face and still loves this country? We need to know how people feel and where people stand. Now, we move on to a post that was on Facebook yesterday or the day before, and it was posted and it became quite controversial. At least maybe it wasn't controversial. Maybe just I think it's controversial. But Byron Brooks, who I am a fan of, I've met him a couple of times. Every time we've spoken, he has a love for this country, a love for conservatism, a love for the military, and a disdain for this progressive movement. He's, and I've spoken with him, I think, 4 or 5 times now, and I'm still a fan. But he had a post that which I took some umbrage to, and I stated why I felt that way. But I wanted to share it with you and find out what you guys think. So I'm going to read you what he wrote, and then I'm going to read to you my response, and then I'm going to present you with a question that I really want you to ponder, and I want you to share with me in the comments what you think, because I'm really torn. I know I'm going to be hypocritical at the end of this little thing. I just want you to know that I'm aware of it, because self-awareness is probably the most important thing. So, candidate for vice chair with the CCRP, Byron Brooks writes, "Greetings, friends. I'd like to talk about something that has been a concern of mine for quite some time. This is the subject of anti-Semitism. In the past several months, there has been a large increase in anti-Semitic rhetoric in public forums and on social media platforms. Unfortunately, this isn't a new thing. but it seems that it has been allowed to fester as of late due to these platforms. This is most likely due to the accessibility and ease of social media when it comes to sharing opinions. Many things are brought to light and brought to the attention of others. It can have a desensitizing effect. Some people are becoming used to witnessing the hatred, as it has become so frequent and often politicized. I'm not necessarily surprised by this, considering the current political climate that we are facing in conjunction with global tensions. So what could possibly drive so much hatred towards our fellow human beings? I won't pretend to have an answer for that, but I wanted to give you a simple message and share my thoughts with you here. The hate and the violence that we've been exposed to, witnessed, and more has to stop. It can no longer be tolerated or accepted within our community. Additionally, a true call to action is required in times such as these. This is so that the accountability of others can be integrated into a public information system that is easily accessible and shareable. Recently, we've decided to partner with a local technology company. We're in the process of creating a platform where this can take place. While we are still in the beginning stages of system development, from this moment forward, our project will be known as the ARA, the Always Report Anti-Semitism Initiative. If we're going to change the landscape of our community for the better, we must first engage with our audience to stress the importance of reporting things that do not seem right. The general rule of thumb is as follows. If something doesn't seem right or something seems out of place, report it. We practice the same concept when traveling and when we notice a suspicious activity taking place in our neighborhoods, schools, workplaces, social venues, and so on. For the time being, the method to report these situations will probably vary on where the hate messaging is taking place. Through our platform, the ARA initiative will facilitate an anonymous accountability reporting system, all done from the convenience of your cell phone or computer. This has been designed with the intention so that we can report anti-Semitism and hate crimes in a manner that will reach a broad scope of community members. It also allows us to be an active voice against hatred in our community and helps to foster change. The ARA initiative is your opportunity to be a part of the change that you'd like to see when it comes to combating anti-Semitic behavior. This behavior can manifest in many different ways. However, through standing together and shining a spotlight on the issue, we can make a difference. Join me, other elected officials in our state, and community stakeholders who have pledged their support to stand and fight for the positive changes. We're asking you to #stand with us against hate and anti-Semitism. Join in fighting for the rights of all human beings and standing up for the change that you want to see in our communities within our wonderful state. Send me a message today in order to be the first in line to be notified about the launch of our platform. If you wish to be a bigger contributor to this cause and would like to help sponsor our initiative, simply message me for more information. And they got a nice little logo, ARA, Always Report Anti-Semitism, #stand with us. So, I could get into it, but let me just read for you what my response was. And then we'll dissect it a little bit. I wrote, Byron, I hate anti-Semitism, racism, sexism, Islamophobia, etc., etc. If I encounter it, I go the other way. But making lists and infringing on rights, isn't there a more constructive thing we, being the productive members of society, could be doing? Can we help the Jewish community with our time and resources rather than condemn other Americans who dislike Jews or Christians or white people or black people or women or gays or whatever? Why highlight atrocious behavior? Why muzzle people? I would much prefer knowing who these people are so I can avoid them. But most of all, this is America. You have the freedom to hate, the freedom to feel any way you'd like. You just don't have the right to infringe on another's rights. Start a registry for criminals. Start a registry for those who use their hate to stand in the way of others' pursuit of happiness. But if someone wants to post, "I hate fill in the blank," they are entitled to do so. And in doing so, I have the right to not be their friend or block them. If they are doing it in the face of an elderly woman or whatever, then it is a crime. To post it on Facebook or to say so at a picnic is protected under the First Amendment. You either support freedom and freedom of speech or you don't. What is the line on your list? Is telling an off-color joke? Is the desire, sorry, I lost my place. Is a desire for the destruction of Israel? Or is it somewhere in between? What about this post I'm making right here, right now? I hate BLM, and this is sounding like JLM, but I would never say they shouldn't have a right to speak. But they should surely be arrested if they break the law or in any other way infringe on someone's rights. Can't we concentrate on teaching our youth to be loving and accepting and tolerant? Wouldn't that be the best way to combat this? Wouldn't every dollar and every minute spent making a list of assholes be better spent enriching our children and teaching them about the love of God? The Ninth Amendment says you cannot use your rights to infringe on others' rights. And you only believe in the First Amendment if you support the rights for views you disagree with to be spoken. I agree with you wholeheartedly that anti-whatever is disgusting. But again, even if you're on the right side, it's still division. It's still infringing on freedom. It's still using our resources on the jerks while taking time away from more righteous fights. I hope this doesn't make me anti-Semitic. And if someone says something disgusting about me, where do I go? I'm not Jewish. I'm not black. I'm not gay. I'm not considered oppressed. So hateful comments to a boring old Christian is acceptable, but hateful comments for you is anti-Semitic, so your oppressor gets put on a list, but mine doesn't? I'm sorry. I agree with your sentiment, but I disagree with your tribalism, pun intended, and your suppression of speech. A conservative with this view is as hypocritical as the media agreeing with suppression of the press. I am contemplating even hitting send because I don't want you to hate me. But this is very important to me as a conservative. It seems as though this has been your singular mission for the past couple of months. You haven't even spoken to me in that time because someone I know knew someone else who had a social media page where someone else posted some anti-Semitic stuff. I was 3 or 4 degrees away from this, but yet because of it, you've ceased communicating with me whatsoever. I'm at a loss of what to do. I don't know how to make amends or how to explain how I agree with your disdain for hate, but disagree with your methods of ridding our dialogue of it. Let's start concentrating on education, logic, and tolerance, not making lists or shaming people, again, because that sounds like communism. Now, I've spoken with some people since then, and I've lessened my vitriol a tad bit. Because, I mean, you got to understand, if somebody is spraying swastikas on Jewish people's garage doors or something, there should be a registry, and we should track it to find out, using geo-tracking or math in order to estimate where the perpetrator might live, or to warn other people that there's a danger in the community, or whatever the case may be. But I disagree, and in the beginning of the post, he outlines how they're creating software in order to address the rhetoric in public forums and on social media platforms. Again, I hate people who spew hate. But I will fight for their right to speak it. And then I'll walk away and not listen because I don't want to hear it. And if I don't walk away, I'm going to end up getting into a conversation or a discussion or an argument over why they're wrong. But, again, I just feel like the tribalism between, I don't care if it's Jewish people, black people, Native Americans, I'm all for having a sense of pride about where you come from and everything else. But when you start legal arms and you start politicking as a tribe, that's un-American. And I really wish we would just identify ourselves as Americans. And somebody who is anti-Semitic gets labeled as an asshole. Someone who's racist is an asshole. Someone who doesn't like fat people or disabled people or gay people, they're all the same. They're assholes. That's it. Why do we have to label every type of asshole and every type of victim? And now for my conundrum. Through my discussion of this situation, this is the question I pose to you. Me, in my hypocritical viewpoint, believe the following two things. I believe that Nazis should not be allowed to stand outside a synagogue and then hand out Nazi anti-Israel propaganda to children and parishioners going to synagogue. I don't think they should be allowed to be right outside the synagogue. I do believe that Christian or Jewish or whoever, pro-life, I believe pro-life activists should be able to stand outside of Planned Parenthood to beg the person going in for an abortion and explain to them that they have options, that they have help, that they're not alone, and that a human is created at conception. Now, that is blatantly, on its face, I think, hypocritical. Somebody on Facebook, when I posed this question, gave me a great answer and gave me an out and told me maybe I'm not being a hypocrite. But I'm not even going to share his opinion because I want you guys to ruminate and share with me. Is it hypocritical? Am I wrong? The question number one is, should Nazis be allowed to stand on the sidewalk in public outside of a synagogue and hand out anti-Jewish propaganda? Question number two, should pro-life activists be able to stand outside of Planned Parenthood and advocate for the person not getting an abortion? And number three, am I a hypocrite for believing that we should not allow Nazis outside a synagogue, but we should allow pro-life advocates outside of Planned Parenthood? All right? Those are my questions for you guys. All right? I mean, this could have been the most emotional segment of the Johnny Brew Show. But I wear my heart on my sleeve, and my conservative beliefs are unabashedly what they are. All right? I try to be unbiased and logical while still being unabashedly conservative and patriotic. I hope that makes sense to you. I think most of my audience understands exactly what I mean. So, thank you so much. My name is John Brookhagen. This is brought to you by themathinstitute.com. Please stay tuned. And one thing I forgot to tell you guys is we also have another plan for some guests. Alita Benson and Jessica Hansen are going to be coming in within the next month or so in order to give us an update on election integrity. So that's another something I'm really, really looking forward to. Anybody who has something important to say, get in touch with me at TheJohnnyBruShow@gmail.com and let me know what you'd like to talk about, or let me know what you'd like to hear me talk about. And please tell a friend, give us a like, give us a comment, let us know what you think, especially about today's episode, because it was a heartfelt one from me. All right, my name is John Brookhagen, and I will see you next time. Thank you.